lose a beat, you lose a rhythm, and nothing falls into place. Now, only missed by a fraction. Shift a little on your pace. The more things you get, the more you want. Just trading one for another. Working so hard to make it easy. Wow, got to turn. Come on, turn this thing around right now. Hey, it's your tomorrow. Right now, come on, it's everything. Right now, it's a magic moment. Do it right here and now. It means everything. So like what are you waiting for? Oh, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Solicitor Scarlett Wilson.
Hello, Berkeley County. How's everybody this morning? Good to see y'all. I just want y'all to think about something. Nikki Haley could be anywhere in the state today. She could be in Greenville or Columbia or Charleston, but she chose to be right here in Berkeley County, and I love it. I love it. How many Berkeley County Republican women do we have here? We have any? All right. I like it. I like it. You know, I could choose to have my membership anywhere in Charleston or Berkeley County. You can only be a member of the or the Republican Women Group, one group. You can be affiliated with others, but I chose to have my membership right here in Berkeley County because I danced with the one that brought me. They brought me into office back in 2008, and I am forever grateful. They knew I was a small town girl from Hemingway. My dad was a general contractor, farmer, math teacher. He did it all. Mailman. But he worked at Santee Cooper a good bit doing work, and so I came over here a lot. And it just, the feel of Berkeley County is so awesome. And the Republican women here were so great. And the good thing about them is they know how to get out the vote. And that has never been more critical than it is right now. Let's do it. We can do it. Y'all, Nikki Haley is a small town girl just like we are. And over the past years of my career in politics, I've had a lot of opportunity to think about what it means to be a Republican. Because I am Scarlett Wilson, and there is an R behind my name, just like there's an R behind Nikki Haley's name. But you know, that R stands for a lot more than just Republican. It stands for being reasonable. It stands for being rational. It stands for being responsible. It stands for being ready to serve. And that is critical right now because we need a conservative president who can not just serve 4 years, but that can serve 8 years and that can bring people into our party. We can't be permanently barring anybody from our party because y'all know how it goes. If you aren't a liberal at 20, you have no heart. If you aren't a conservative at 40, you have no head. And we got to get those people who are getting paychecks for the first time and seeing what's being taken out of it and how it's used for. Nikki Haley can bring those people into our party. She can move us forward. That's what she can do for us. And you know what that R stands for behind her name?
The military.
Amen, brother. You know, these people who call her a warmonger, I mean, she has a vested interest in keeping our country safe and keeping our men and women out of harm's way. And she can't get into all the details on the campaign stunt, but I have watched her explain in great detail why our interests abroad are so important to keeping our men and women safe. She gets it. She understands it. But that R, besides respecting the military and even respecting opponents, that R stands for results. Yes. And that's what I want to talk to you about, what I saw firsthand as your solicitor, the results she brought us when South Carolina was #1 in the country for women at the hands of their partners. #1 in the whole country. So bad that the Post and Courier won a Pulitzer Prize writing about it. She found out about that, and she brought people together to put things into place so that women were safer, so that little girls weren't learning from that example of domestic violence how they should be treated by their men. And that little boys weren't learning that it was okay to treat their women that way. And she moved us out from being #1. She set us on the path so that we aren't even in the top 10 and aren't even in the top 20. That is results. Those are results for an issue that is not popular and that, frankly, the government can't solve, but that the government could make better, and she did it. She brought us results when, after all of us watched in horror the video footage of a cop shooting a man in the back 8 times. She saw the problem there. This nation was a tinderbox when that happened. We were on the verge of race wars at every turn. She knew what was going on. She knew how to lead through that. When I was in the courtroom waiting on a verdict in that trial, I was literally on the phone with Nikki Haley, her asking good questions about what the issues were, what they had been, what the expectations were, what kind of resources we needed, so that we were safe, so that all of you were safe, so that we didn't have some kind of crazy race thing going on. She recognized that problem, and then you know what else she did? She went to work on it. And she signed one of the first bills in our country providing body-worn cameras for officers. She didn't wait around like some of our senators wanted to study the issue. She took action on the issue. And you know what? Do you know who loves body-worn cameras? Cops love body-worn cameras because they keep them safe. Because cops get accused every day of doing something that they didn't do, and they can show that body-worn camera footage, and then they can exonerate themselves. And when there is a rogue cop, a body-worn camera can help ferret that out too. But she took action. She didn't wait around. And in the midst of all of that, we were dealing with one of the most unspeakable tragedies that's occurred in our state in centuries. And that was the murders at Mother Emanuel. And she was there for all that media and all those photographers to show the world that we weren't a racist state, that we weren't a bunch of fools running around like a cop shooting somebody 8 times in the back unarmed as they're running away, or like the madman who went into Mother Emanuel Church. She showed them that's not who we were. She stood before the media. She stood before the international community and represented us with honor, with dignity, and with respect. And then when the cameras were gone, you'll never see photographs or video or recordings of her sitting in the living rooms for weeks and months after those murders of those families, wiping away their tears, holding their hands, giving them hugs. I know that because I was doing the same thing.
And when I went to work trying to convict that madman and fighting with the Obama-appointed U.S. attorney who did not want to seek the death penalty for that madman, Nikki Haley had my back, and she had your back. And then she went to work to do something that I realize people have some mixed feelings about, but it was the right thing for our state at the right time. And what's so important is she was able to take people who were emotionally wrought on two sides of an issue, work behind the scenes to get the right result and bring the flag down. And I understand the issues there, but it was the right thing for our state. You got to remember, my name, people, is Scarlet. I understand those issues, but the flag needed to come down. It needed to come down. It was the right moral thing for us then. And you know what else? It was good for our state economically, because we were losing business over that, and we were going to lose more business. And she worked behind the scenes to do that. We needed Nikki Haley in the governor's office. We needed Nikki Haley in the Trump administration. And we need Nikki Haley in the White House now. But there is only one way to do that, people. There is only one way to have a South Carolina girl in that White House, and that's for each of you to get out and vote on Saturday. Get them out. Bring your friends. Text your friends. Go for a walk. Go to vote. It's going to take you 3.5 minutes to save our country. Our men and women are fighting for us. Our men and women are away from their families right now so that we have the luxury of voting in a Republican primary. We have got to get out the vote to get this done. Because if you do that, just imagine a president who is intelligent. Imagine a president. Just imagine a president who's unflappable and controlled. Imagine a president who can engage in civilized debate and will engage in civilized debate. Imagine a president who's competent to stand trial or competent to just be president. Imagine a president who won't destroy the world. Y'all are awesome. But I mean, if we can imagine a president like that, who's competent and ready to serve, and Nikki Haley is the one. Imagine a president who has the grace and the grit to stand toe-to-toe and eye-to-eye with world-class bullies and say, with all due respect, Mr. Bully, I got a country to save. She can do it. She can do it. But there's only one way she's going to do it, and it's going to take y'all getting out to vote and getting your friends out. Because if you do that, we will elect South Carolina's favorite daughter. All right, are y'all ready? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the first woman to be president of these United States, Nikki Haley. Thank you so much. It's great to be here in Mom's Corner. It's a great day in South Carolina. You know what, I'll tell you, we are blessed because when we have issues that we don't want to have to deal with, whether it is the shooting of Walter Scott or Mother Emanuel Church or anything else that comes up, we grow strong women in South Carolina. And you are blessed that you have a a strong woman fighting for you. Thank you, Scarlett. We love you. Thank you so much. So I look at this crowd and I get so excited because it reminds me of what we've been through together. Think back to when I first came in as governor. It was tough. It was tough. We had 11% unemployment. We had thousands of people on welfare. And South Carolina was the butt of the jokes. And what did we do? We rallied. We rallied. We got together and we said it's time to get to work. And we moved that 11% down to 4%. We announced jobs in every county in the state. By the time I left, we were building planes with Boeing. We were building more BMWs than any place in the world. We brought in Mercedes-Benz. We brought in Volvo. 5 international tire companies. They were referring to us as the beast of the Southeast. We did pass the first body camera bill in the country. We passed tort reform. We passed pension reform. We cut taxes. We built up our coffers. We made sure that we paid down our debt, and we acknowledged some truths. We said if you have to show picture ID to buy Sudafed, if you have to show picture ID to get on a plane, you should have to show picture ID to protect the integrity of the election process. We passed voter ID in South Carolina. We passed the toughest illegal immigration law in the country. President Obama sued us over it, and we won. We held the elected officials to account in this state. We made them start showing their votes on the record instead of hiding them behind closed doors. We made sure that they had to start disclosing their income so that you could see exactly who was paying them. We vetoed $500 million of their pet projects in their pork because your tax dollars didn't need to be going to those. And by the time we were done, we were named the friendliest state in the country. The one I love, the most patriotic state in the country. And don't blame me for this one, the number 2 state in the country people were moving to. And now I'm running for president, and look at the situation we are in. It is not good, and you don't have to turn on the news to see it. We are $34 trillion in debt. We're having to borrow money just to make our interest payments. China owns some of that debt. And for the first time now, we're paying more money in interest than we are in our defense budget. You know who notices that? Russia, China, and Iran. We've got to start getting to work. But when you look at the situation that put us in, we've got to be honest about who did that to us. I would love to tell you that Joe Biden did that to us. But I have always spoken to you in hard truths, and I'm going to do that with you today. Our Republicans did that to us too. You go and look, and you can talk about having a good economy under Donald Trump, but what did he do? Out of that $34 trillion, $8 trillion in 4 years he put us in debt that our kids are never going to forgive him for. And then you go and look at what Republicans did. All of them together passed a $2.2 trillion COVID stimulus bill with no accountability that expanded welfare that's now left us with 80 million Americans on Medicaid, 42 million Americans on food stamps. That's a third of our country. And did Republicans try and make it right? No, they opened up pet projects and earmarks for the first time in 10 years, pushing through 7,000 of them last year. Don't you think it's finally time we had an accountant in the White House? The way we're going to take care of our economy, we're going to start by clawing back the $100 billion of unspent COVID dollars that are still sitting out there. Instead of 87,000 IRS agents going after middle America, let's go after the hundreds of billions of dollars of COVID fraud. 1 out of every $7 was spent fraudulently. If 8% of our budget is interest, quit borrowing. Cut up the credit cards. You have to balance a budget every day. I had to balance a budget as your governor. Why is Congress the only group that refuses to balance a budget?
We'll stop the spending, we'll stop the borrowing, we'll eliminate their pet projects, and I will veto any spending bill that doesn't take us back to pre-COVID levels. That will save us trillions. Then we're going to take as many federal programs as we can and send them down to the state levels. That way we'll dramatically reduce the size of the federal government, but we will empower people on the ground. Think education, think healthcare, think welfare, think mental health. If we cut those strings and allow those dollars to go down, that way, closer to the people, we're deciding those decisions, not people in Washington, D.C. That's where it should happen. And then we're watching the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. We need to open up the middle class. That's why we're going to cut taxes on the middle class and simplify the brackets. We're going to eliminate the federal gas and diesel tax in this country. And we're going to make small business tax cuts permanent. Small businesses are the heartbeat of our economy. We have to start acting like it. And you know, if we're going to talk about Congress, let's talk about the fact that Congress has one job, and that's to give us a budget on time. Do you know Congress has only given us a budget on time 4 times in 40 years? 4 times in 40 years. Do you know what we're going to do about that? When I'm president, if Congress doesn't give us a budget on time, Congress doesn't get paid, period. Don't you think it's finally time we had term limits in Washington, D.C.? Don't you think we need to have mental competency tests for anyone over the age of 75? Look, I'm not being disrespectful when I say that. We all know people over the age of 75 that can run circles around us. And then we know Joe Biden. Congress has become the most privileged nursing home in the country. And it's nothing to play with. These are people making decisions on the future of our economy. These are people making decisions on our national security. We need to know they're at the top of their game. Now let's talk about the border. I can't believe this is happening in the United States of America. 9 million illegal immigrants have come across that border. We had more fentanyl come across that border last year that would kill every single American. Number 1 cause of death for adults 18 to 45, fentanyl. And don't think for a second China doesn't know what they're doing when they send it over. Now, when we passed the toughest illegal immigration law in the country, everybody noticed, including President Obama. We need to take what we did in South Carolina and go national with it. We will do a national E-Verify program so that every business has to prove that the people they hire are in this country legally. We will defund sanctuary cities once and for all. No more safe havens. We will put 25,000 Border Patrol and ICE agents on the ground and let them do their job. We will go back to the Remain in Mexico policy so that no one steps foot on U.S. soil. And instead of catch and release, we'll go to catch and deport. That is how we will deal with the border. Now let's talk about what happened last week on the border. There was a border bill that came up, and part of that bill was good. It strengthened asylum laws. We have to strengthen the asylum laws because 3 million illegal immigrants came in under the Trump watch because our asylum laws weren't strong enough. The part of the bill that was weak was it didn't include the Remain in Mexico, and we have to have that. And it had a 5,000 person threshold. We can't even have a 1-person threshold. But the problem with all of that is Congress needed to get into a room, strengthen it, and not leave until they got the job done. And what did they do? They went on a 2-week vacation. And then you had Trump, who came in and said, don't pass anything on the border until after the general election because it would hurt him. We can't wait one more day to secure that border. We have got to get it done. Congress needs to get us a strong border bill, and Trump needs to stay out of it, period. And then, you know, growing up in Bamberg, South Carolina, My parents always taught me, you take care of those who take care of you. But I'm going to ask you if we're taking care of those who take care of us. Right now in America, over 35,000 of our veterans are homeless. 1 in 3 suffers from PTSD or thoughts of suicide. We lose 22 heroes a day to suicide. If a vet needs a doctor's appointment at the VA, on average it takes 29 days. Why 29 days? Because on the 30th day they can go to the doctor or hospital of their choice. So midway through the 29 days, they get a call to reschedule, and the clock starts all over again. It is shameful how we treat our veterans. Now, I'm the proud wife of a combat veteran who served in Afghanistan. And when Michael came home to us, that was a lot of prayers answered. Oh, I love him too. But when we got home, life got hard. Michael couldn't hear loud noises. He couldn't be in crowds. Life had passed him by for the year that he was gone, and the transition was tough. We can't just love our men and women when they're gone. We gotta love them when they come back home too. That's why we need to do more than just a 2-week transition. We need to take care of them for the long haul. Let's do telehealth so they get the mental health care they need right when they need it. Let's let them go to the doctor or hospital of their choice. They've earned that right. And I think the best way we take care of VA health care, I think every member of Congress should have to get their health care from the VA, and you watch how fast that gets paid. It'll be the best health care we've ever seen, guaranteed. And speaking of military, let's talk about our national security. The world is on fire, literally. We've got a war in Europe. We've got a war in the Middle East. We've got North Korea testing intercontinental ballistic missiles capable of hitting the U.S. You've got China doing cyber attacks on our infrastructure. And you've got Russia now doing blinding satellites so that we can't see if a missile's coming or we can't see if they try and take out our infrastructure. It's a lot. We have got to have a leader that has moral clarity. We need to have a leader that knows the difference between right and wrong. And you look at the situation that we're dealing with and how sensitive it is. And I want you to think about what Donald Trump said in Conway, South Carolina. Because when he went off his teleprompter, what he said was unbelievable. He said that not only would he not defend our allies, but that he would actually encourage Putin to invade our allies. Now think about what that means. You encourage Putin to invade our allies. That means Trump is siding with a thug, where 500,000 people have died or been wounded because Putin invaded Ukraine. Trump is siding with a dictator who kills his political opponents. Trump is siding with a tyrant who arrests American journalists and holds them hostage. Trump is siding with someone who has made no bones about wanting to destroy America. And Trump's going to side with Putin over the allies that stood with us at 9/11? What are you saying? Because in that 1 second, he made all of our allies vulnerable. In that 1 second, he emboldened Putin. In that 1 second, he put every military member who's serving in those countries in danger. That is not moral clarity. And then he went a step further and decided to mock my husband's military service. Now let me say this. Michael and I can handle it. When you're in politics, it's open season. But you mock one member of the military, you're mocking every member of the military. But the problem is, he doesn't understand that sacrifice. This is a pattern. We saw that he said members of the military who lose their lives, they're suckers or losers. He says at the Arlington National Cemetery, what was in it for them? He doesn't understand that for our men and women who serve, it's not about them. It's about something bigger than themselves. It's about the fact they know freedom isn't free. They don't do this for kicks and giggles. They do this because they believe in our country and they know we have to defend it. And Donald Trump's never been near a uniform. We all know veterans. We all know people who've lost their lives in service. It's personal for us. He's never been near a uniform. He's never had to sleep on the ground. The closest he's ever come to harm's way is if a golf ball happens to hit him on the golf course. But then you have to look at, if we're going to talk about national security, what do you want in a president? You want a... When it comes to national security, you want a president who's going to prevent war. You want a president that's focused on national security. You want a president that's going to keep Americans safe. That's what we want. So we know what to do with the domestic issues. We know what to do with national security. Now we got to decide what we're going to do on Election Day. And I want you to look at this year. I announced that I was running for president a year ago. There were 14 people in that race. I defeated a dozen of the fellas. I just got one more I got to catch up to. And you look at that and they said, oh, she's not going to make it to Iowa. And we made it to Iowa. Then we went to New Hampshire, and on the day of the election, New Hampshire, they said she's down 30 points, and we got 43% of the vote. And what happened the night of New Hampshire was quite something. Donald Trump became completely unhinged. He had a temper tantrum on stage. He went off about revenge and my dress. The next day, he goes and says anybody that supports her is barred permanently from MAGA. But the problem with that is, if you're running for president, your job is to bring people in, not push people away from your club. Then he goes the next day and tries to push the RNC to name him the presumptive nominee. Now, we don't anoint kings in America. We have elections. And South Carolinians deserve the right to be able to vote, as do the other states. Then there were a couple more judgments that came down against him, and he's been talking about how he's a victim. Now, the one thing that bothered me the most about whether it was the night of New Hampshire or whether it was him complaining about being a victim, at no point did he ever talk about the American people. At no point did he talk about us being $34 trillion in debt. At no point did he talk about the fact that only 31% of 8th graders in our country are proficient in reading. At no point did he talk about the completely open border. At no point did he talk about the lawlessness in our cities. And at no point did he talk about the wars around the world. All he did was talk about himself. And the problem is, this isn't about him. It's about the American people. So now we have a decision to make. Do we want more of the same, or do we want to go in a new direction? More of the same is not just Joe Biden. More of the same is also Donald Trump. But don't listen to me. Listen to Americans around the country. 70% of Americans have said they don't want Donald Trump or Joe Biden. They are the two most disliked politicians in America. And the fact, thank you, do we really want to go and be a country in disarray and a world on fire and have two candidates in their 80s? when we need someone who can serve 8 years, day and night, get our country back on track, no vendettas, no drama, just real results for the American people. And you know, I was looking at the TV the other day and I saw that Donald Trump's running commercials against me, so clearly he is taking it seriously. But the problem is, everything he said in the commercials was literally a lie. He said that I was for open borders. He said that I wanted to raise taxes. And then he sent out text messages saying that I want to cut Social Security. Every bit of that is a lie. But then I was thinking, you know, if he's going to lie about me, then I'm going to tell the truth about him. Because you deserve to know that we should be asking him, why is it that when he was president, he proposed a 25-cent per gallon gas tax increase? You should be able to ask him, why is it that he wants to put a 10% tax increase on every single American? He wants to put a tariff on all the goods coming in, from baby strollers to appliances. That will be over $2,800 more per year for all of us. Why doesn't he say that he's not going to do anything with Social Security, knowing that when he leaves, every one of us would get a 24% cut in our benefits? That is not what we need to have happen. These are things that we should be asking him. And I would ask him for you, but he won't debate me. But more than that, why do we all care? Why does this matter now more than ever? You know, 7 months ago, I dropped Michael off at 4 a.m. for another year-long deployment. And I watched him and 230 soldiers pick up their 2 duffel bags of belongings to go to a country they'd never been, all in the name of protecting America. They're willing to sacrifice their lives and their families because they still believe in this amazing experiment that is America. So if they're willing to sacrifice for us there, shouldn't we be willing to fight for America here? Because we have a country to save. But in order to save her, it's going to take a lot of courage. Courage from everybody here. Courage for me to run. And courage for every one of you to know, don't complain about what happens in a general election if you don't vote in this primary. It matters. And then I know you are all here because you want to see a change in America. But what I want to remind you is, we can want all the things to get fixed that we want. But if we can't win a general election, we get nothing. And Donald Trump cannot win a general election. Look at every single poll. He's down by 5. He's down by 7. There was a Marquette poll that came out this week. He was margin of error, dead even with Joe Biden. In that same poll and all the other ones, in that Marquette poll, I defeat Joe Biden by 18 points. Presidency, that's House, that's Senate, that's governorships, that's school boards. That's a real directional turn in our government. But you win by double digits. That's a mandate going into D.C. to stop the wasteful spending and get our economy back on track. That's a mandate to get our kids reading again and go back to the basics in education. That's a mandate to secure our borders with no more excuses. That's a mandate for law and order back in our cities, and that's a mandate for a strong America that prevents wars that we can all be proud of. Don't you want that? And so you look at that, and if you really want to know why this matters, it doesn't matter to me, and it doesn't even matter to you as much as it matters to our kids and your grandkids. That's who I worry about. Think about what they've been through. They've been through COVID. They see this debt, and they don't know how they're going to have to be responsible for it. They don't know how they're ever going to buy a home. They don't know if they're going to be able to get a job. They don't know how they're going to make ends meet. They're fearful of a war. And the country that they live in right now has hate and anger and division. They deserve better than what they're getting right now. And I look at this, and Joe Biden calls anybody that doesn't support him, he calls them fascists. And Donald Trump calls anybody that doesn't support him vermin. What are we doing? That's not how we're supposed to be. That's not the way we're going to go forward. But even look, we need to be normal. Again, our kids want to know what normal feels like. It's not normal under Joe Biden that you've got millions of illegal immigrants coming across the border and no one's stopping them. It's not normal for us to spend more time in schools on gender pronoun than reading and math. It is not normal to have these wars around the world. And under Donald Trump, it's not normal to mock members of the military. It's not normal to pay campaign contributions towards your own personal court cases. It's not normal for you to side with a dictator over our allies. None of this is normal, and our kids deserve normal. You know, we talked about all of the successes that we had together. But I want to remind you about the challenges. Because when I was governor, we went through a lot. We had multiple hurricanes. We had a 1,000-year flood. We had a school shooting. We had the shooting of Walter Scott. And we had the shooting of 9 amazing souls in Mother Emanuel Church. Any one of those situations could have brought us to our knees. You look after the shooting at Mother Emanuel Church. It was on the heels of Ferguson. Same with Walter Scott. On the heels of Ferguson, if we turned on the nightly news, there were cities on fire all over our country. Why didn't we burn? We didn't have riots. We had vigils. We didn't have protests. We had prayer. The tone at the top matters. If you notice, I didn't judge either side. I didn't pick who was right and who was wrong. That's not what a leader's supposed to do. You don't judge your people. Instead, you bring out the best in people so that they can see a good way forward. And that's what we did as South Carolinians. We showed the entire country and the world what grace and strength look like over and over and over again. And through that unity, that's where we found our strength. Now we need that same thing in our country. And we have the chance to do that. Tomorrow is election day. Anybody can vote in this election as long as they didn't vote in the Democratic primary on February 3rd. I need you to get out and vote. I need you to take 5 people with you. I need you to make sure you call your friends, email everybody you know, text, take anybody who can't get there to the polls, because it matters. We all know, and you'd be shocked how many of your friends and family are just general election voters. I want you to send them a message for me. In a general election, you're given a choice. In a primary election, you make your choice. This is the time for us to make our choice. I think South Carolina is going to show up strong and proud tomorrow. I want you to get everybody to the polls, and this is what I will promise you. I will promise you the same thing I promised you when you elected me governor twice before. I will spend every single day proving to you that you made a good decision. God bless you. Thank you. Let's get out the vote. Thank you so much.
With a home